What's up, everyone? Welcome to This Day in Philly Sports History for February 11th, 2025. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Tuesday edition of the podcast. It is a Tuesday, so it is time for a little positivity / motivation. Very, very hard to top the positivity that's going around. But today's going to look a little bit different. It's going to be a heavy Eagles slant to this. However, I do think there's something you can take out into your normal everyday life. And for the couple years I've been doing this podcast, I was blessed to start it in 2022. We had the Phillies in the middle of a pennant race. The Eagles were undefeated on their way to the Super Bowl that year. The Union were going to the MLS Cup. And things were good. And I talked a lot about New Philly. I still bring it up every now and then. But today's Tuesday motivation and positivity, Old Philly is over. Old Philly is officially dead. Old Philly, that Old Philly, Negadelphia, all of that. I'm here to officially bury Old Philly today. It died either during Cooper DeJean's pick six, may have been Zach Bond's interception, Devontae's touchdown. Somewhere in that game on Sunday, Old Philly died. Doesn't matter when it happened. Just know Old Philly is over. It is dead. This is New Philly. The Philadelphia Eagles have 2 Super Bowl trophies, something that I never thought in my lifetime would ever happen. Let that sink in. 2 Super Bowl trophies. And I think the difference between 1 and 2, and I'll get more into that when we do our Eagles coverage, is huge, especially the way it went down. And if you rewind a little bit, and a lot of you out there are around my age, if you're younger, God bless you, because you don't really know the heartache and pain. And that's why I'm saying we need to get over that. We need to move past it. We're cursed. The curse of Billy Penn. We can't win. The whole waiting for the other shoe to drop. I had a text message from one of my friends in Pittsburgh who was like, I'm going to bed. You guys got this. And I'm like, no, I'm not comfortable saying that yet. And she was like, you're up 34-0 or whatever it was at the time. And I'm like, this is Philly. And then that's when it hit me. Old Philly is dead. We couldn't win. We were cursed until we did. And now we've done it pretty consistently for the Eagles over the past 10 years. So, Old Philly, I'm officially burying it today. We need to move past that Negadelphia. We need to not be the old curmudgeons and say, back in my day. Guess what? That's helped shape who we are. And I think the takeaway for your everyday life is you got to have confidence. It's all about a mindset. Yes, that may have happened, but I think the story of Eagles fans specifically, but Philadelphia fans in general, is a story of perseverance, a story of unwavering faith, unwavering love for those teams. And here we are now, finally, it's paying off. I don't want to go back to those old ways. I don't want to go back to Old Philly. That's why I'm burying Old Philly. We need to move past the Negadelphia. We need to move past all of the, this is going to happen. I remember my dad telling me this is how it's going to lose. They're going to lose. I remember being at my friend's house for the Washington game in 1990, that wild card game, and his dad saying, this is what they're going to do to you every time. No, they're not going to do that every time. This is New Philly. Anything is possible if you believe it. And I think going on with your weeks and as we go through this celebration and this new era of Philly sports, I think we need to just keep focused on, yes, we can. We belong in the conversation. In your life, you don't like what's happening? Bury the old you. Start a new you. Whatever your name is, whatever you want to call it, but it's time for a new you. Bury that old stuff. And trust me, as a lifelong Philly fan who has known nothing for, I went 20-some years, 30-some years with nothing but disappointment. The past 25 years have been great for all 4 of the teams. So let's move past that. And if you don't like what's happening in your life, bury that old person, bury the old you, and start fresh. Because God damn it, this is new Philly, and we belong. Bury the old you because you belong. And that is today's Tuesday motivation / positivity. Old Philly is dead. We just buried it. This is new Philly. This is a new era of Philly sports, and let's enjoy it. Now we're going back to the Negadelphia. All right. Let's stick with the Eagles because we're Super Bowl champions. And we'll start with yesterday's question of the day. As we always do the day after the game, we voted for the GOAT of the game. 59% of you went with Jalen Hurts. 25% of you went with Josh Sweat. Lots of votes for Vic Fangio and the defense. Howie Roseman got a couple votes. Cooper DeJean got a few votes. And as I was going back and forth with my brother yesterday, it's the whole team. The whole team was a GOAT. But Jalen Hurts, who was in Disney World yesterday on that parade, always a cool thing to see, was your GOAT of the game. Thank you, as always, for participating in the question of the day. There will be another one later in the show. All right, as you can see, I'm wearing the Super Bowl championship hat. It was a good time. I had off of work yesterday, so I'm like, let me go to the new pro shop in Plymouth Meeting. Much smaller than what I thought it would be, to be honest with you. But got there about 9:45. They opened at 10. There was a line going out, and just incredible. Everybody's happy. There was two guys having beers, tailgating the opening of the store. That is, to me, that is the most Philly thing ever. Tailgating the opening of the store to get in and buy new gear. There's another guy waiting in line who was looking for something specific, all decked out. I guess he had gone to Dick's the night before. But it was a fun time. And I highly suggest if you're going to go, go online and just order it that way, because the stores, they're kind of at the mercy of whatever the trucks get delivered, and the people that work there in Plymouth Meeting said that they were doing more deliveries down to South Philly and Cherry Hill. But a good time. Went into Dick's just to see what was going on there. The line was literally, I went to the one in Willow Grove, wrapped around the store. So I was like, I'm just going to go online and order some. But I did get my t-shirt, did get my hat. But shout out to those two dudes who were tailgating the opening of the store. But I think I've had time to sleep on this now, and it's really starting to sink in. And I think this is actually what we needed as Eagles fans. And this is to not take anything away from the 2017 Super Bowl. But... and I heard Howie Roseman in one of his interviews say this. One is kind of fluky, and that was a very fluky Super Bowl. You had the backup quarterback. You had going toe-to-toe with Tom Brady, and if there were 2 extra minutes in that game, I would have been nervous that the Eagles would have lost it, just the way Tom Brady and everything was focused. But we got it, and like I said, nothing's like your first time. I've heard a lot of people saying that, and that is true. But this one, it's still sinking into me. It still doesn't seem real. But this one, to me, is more, and I hesitate to say this because I don't want to take anything. Super Bowl 52 was amazing. From that season, from the game, from the playoff run, the parade, all of that. But I feel like this one is legitimate. I think it legitimizes us as a team. It legitimizes us as a fan base. To me, I talk about the club all the time, and I really do kind of picture different levels in this exclusive nightclub, and we're moving up those levels now. Sure, we might not be able to get VIP bottle service on a Saturday night, but on a Thursday night, we can get table service. And I really do think it legitimizes it to have two-time Super Bowl champion. We're one of 16 teams to ever win multiple Super Bowls. So to me, this one just hits a little bit different, and it's still, like I said, sinking into me. I think being at the parade on Friday is probably when it'll hit me. But what a game. I mean, Jalen Hurts was outstanding. The Nike commercial that came right out afterwards, basically saying F you to all the haters. But, I mean, I think it legitimizes Jalen Hurts. All the talk, all of the back and forth, all of the questioning this, that, and the other. Is Jalen Hurts good enough to win a Super Bowl? Guess what? Yes, he is. And he's good enough to be the MVP of the Super Bowl. And nothing's going to change that. And I really think this is the start of something special because this team is young. Yes, they have a couple guys who, big contributors who are free agents, but the core of this team is going to be back. So I mentioned it yesterday, and I don't think it's that far-fetched. I mean, this is new Philly. We could be on the cusp of our own dynasty here. So let's enjoy this before we start looking ahead. We got a couple weeks to talk about free agents and everything like that, but let's just enjoy this. But the narrative is changing. I told you, this is new Philly. Don't be the old curmudgeon like, oh, well, let me see them do it again. The schedule's good. No, let's enjoy this. This is new Philly. Believe it. We buried that old stuff. We buried it. It's gone. This is a whole new era of Philly sports. I mean, and that crowd was, I would say, at least 75% Eagles fans. It sounded like a home game. Bradley Cooper got it started off right. It was a great introduction to the team. Just outstanding. And like I said, I mean, it sounds outrageous to even think about it. And we're still going to go back sometimes into our old Philly mindset, but we got to get out of this because the truth of the matter is we could be on the cusp of a dynasty. And it's not that outrageous to think about it if you look at numbers and look at who's on the team and the way things are going. But that does lead to the question of the day. Parade is Friday. Are you going to the parade? 267-495-8531. That'll get you in. Absolutely going. Taking the kids down. I don't think we're going to do the art museum. I think I'm going to try to post up somewhere in South Philly and then hopefully get back home in time to watch some of the speeches, go out, grab some dinner, whatever. But are you going to the parade? 267-495-8531. That's the Back to the Future voice and text line. Let me know what you're doing for the parade. A couple other just really things. I didn't get a chance to rewatch because I was traveling all over looking for gear yesterday. Excited to rewatch the Super Bowl again. But just some of my last things as I was searching. Nick Foles is an absolute Philly legend. If you'd missed this, he sent out a tweet late Sunday night. Essentially said it's really cool that Tom Brady was there for both of the Eagles' Super Bowl. He might be their good luck charm. Just throwing that last little dig at Tom Brady, and you got to love it because guess what? We now have 2 Super Bowls. Are we on the Patriots or Tom Brady's level? Not yet. No, we're not there yet. However, when you got 2 trophies now in the trophy case, you can talk a little bit more shit, and that was A-plus trolling by Nick Foles. The other guy I want to talk about was Jalix Hunt, who I saw some advanced nerdy stat that he had like the highest win rate or whatever on the team. And that dude, like he was drafted as a project, and to be able to get a sack and play that well in the Super Bowl, that's why I'm talking dynasty here. There is a possibility of this because that dude wasn't supposed to contribute yet, and here he is. And that's just the way how he does things. You got to love it. Of course, DeAndre Hopkins was like, oh, there were some touchy calls. And it's like, really, a member of the Kansas City Chiefs is going to talk about calls. And I really do. Like, sure, there were some missed calls on both sides. But I think the best way to take the refs out of the game, I say this all the time, never blame the refs for a loss. But if you're going to take that out of the equation, beat the piss out of them just like they did. Didn't matter. Like, okay, call a penalty, we'll come right down and score again. So DeAndre, come on, dude. Be better. You've been only on the team for like 8 weeks or whatever it is. So pump your brakes a little bit, dude. And you've always killed me in fantasy anyway, so I'm not a big fan of yours. The last thing I want to talk about with the Eagles, and I saw this, it was Kevin Negandhi, who I love, Temple guy, Philly guy, one of my favorite guys at ESPN, reposted something that ESPN posted. And I think it was an interesting look at things. Carson Wentz, directly responsible for both of our Super Bowl championships? I mean, Super Bowl 52, it's obvious. They don't get there without Carson Wentz that year. That's been well documented. We've talked about it. Don't want to spend time on that. However, when Howie Roseman traded him to the Colts and got the picks and started doing his Howie black magic, Carson Wentz has played a major role in the Eagles winning Super Bowl 59. That trade to the Colts turned in to Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, Jalen Carter, and Cooper DeJean. That stat is courtesy of ESPN. So I just want to take this minute right now. And yes, this is me having 2 Super Bowls in my trophy case, talking a little shit here. But Carson, I want to thank you for 2 Super Bowls. Truly, truly appreciate it. We forgave you. We moved on. But thank you for 2 Super Bowls. But don't forget to give me your thoughts on the parade. Are you going? What are you doing? 267-495-8531. That'll get you in. Be sure to check out my boys over at the Clashing Conferences podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. Doing great things over there. Be sure to check me out on social media. Jimbo_Mont on Twitter and TikTok. At Philly Jimbo on Instagram. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Jimbo_Mont. Might try to do something live on one of the social medias during the parade. So, best way, subscribe to all of them, and you'll get notified if I go on. Haven't figured it out yet. I've been talking about doing something live for a long time. Might be a great time to do it. Might go live from the Super Bowl parade. Why not? So be sure to follow me on all the socials. Subscribe to the YouTube channel in case I go on YouTube live. But all of that, spread the word. Let's continue to grow this thing because we are Super Bowl 59 champions. And then, don't forget, buy Girl Scouts cookies from Ella. Time is running out. You're probably on your 3rd batch, ready to get some more. So hit up Ella. All this information you need is in the description. And then, of course, go to Philly Goat. Have their champions gear out already. Amazing, amazing stuff from them. They have shirts and hoodies with the entire team on them. I ordered a Kelly Green, just champs shirt. Looking forward to that coming. So go to Philly Goat. Be sure to use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off your order. Stock up on your Eagles gear. Use the promo code. Save some money. I can't wait to wear that shirt. But go check them out. Lots of good things happening over at Philly Goat. All right. There are other stories in Philly sports. Sixers in action tonight versus the Raptors. Joe is listed as questionable. Lots of stuff going back and forth about the potential new knee surgery. I don't know. We'll see if Joe plays tonight. I truly feel if he needs to have knee surgery, he needs to get it done. But trying to stay positive. Sixers, get it together. And if he needs surgery, get it now so he's ready for next year. But we'll have more on that game tomorrow. Phillies, pitchers and catchers report tomorrow. This is new Philly. It's okay to dream big. The Phillies might have the best rotation in the league. It's your move, Phillies. It's your move. You're about to see, Bryce, what this city is like when you win a championship. Your move. Use it as your motivation. Hard to believe pitchers and catchers are already reporting. But, all right, today we're going to go back to 2001. And on this day in 2001, it was the NBA All-Star Game down in Washington, D.C. at the MCI Center. Sixers at the time were in the middle of that magical run. And this was just another moment in that magical season that they had in 2000-2001. In the game, the East beat the West 111-110. They were down 21 points with 9 minutes left. And then AI said, hop on my back, and helped lead the East to victory. Scored 15 of his 25 points in that final 9 minutes. He was able to take home the MVP trophy, finished with 25 points, 5 assists, 4 steals. Soon-to-be Sixer, Dikembe Mutombo had 6 points and 3 blocks. They were about to trade for him in a couple weeks, but it was a magical run. AI said, East, I got you. Put him on his back. Led them to victory. Stephon Marbury hit 2 threes down the stretch that were huge for the East. But it was the East beating the West on this day, 111-110 in the 2001 NBA All-Star Game. Our own Allen Iverson took home MVP honors. And then finally today, our Black History Legacy makers with Philly ties. We've talked about him before on this podcast, but it's John Kennedy, who was the first black player for the Phillies. And it's well documented, and everyone knows that integration and the history of black players with the Phillies is very, very complicated. They were the last team in the National League to integrate. It's been highly documented the way that Ben Chapman, the manager of the Phillies, treated Jackie Robinson when he came up in the league. But John Kennedy became the first black player to play for the Phillies. Was one of the top guys in the Negro Leagues, tore it up there. And then in spring training in 1957, hit over 300, played some great defense, and for all intents and purposes, earned the starting shortstop role for the Phillies that year. However, right before opening day, they acquired someone else from the Dodgers who became the starter. Really kind of a dick move by the Phillies to do that after they had promised and not really ever giving John Kennedy a chance to play. On April 22nd of that year, he did enter the game as a pinch runner, becoming the first black player for the Phillies. 2 days later, he scored a run. All totaled, he only played 5 games for the Phillies, went 0 for 2, scored that run, but he did pave the way for some of the all-time greats in this Phillies organization. And to his credit, he remained positive about it, even though they kind of screwed him over. He did feel as though had he gone to a team that already had an established black sort of culture or pipeline or players on their team, he probably would have done better. It was tough for him being the first on a team, especially with a complicated history the way the Phillies had. But today we celebrate John Kennedy, the first black player for the Phillies, who played for them in 5 games in 1957, but really paved the way for some of the all-time greats in this organization. So shout out to you, and thank you, John Kennedy. On this day in 2001, the East beat the West 111-110 in the NBA All-Star Game. Allen Iverson took home the MVP with 25 points, scoring 15 of them in the 9 minutes in the end of the game, overcoming a 21-point deficit to lead them to victory. We'll have more on the Sixers tomorrow. Obviously, more Phillies coming up as pitchers and catchers report to spring training tomorrow. Like I said, Bryce, make sure you're paying attention on Friday. This is what you need to aspire to. We will, of course, have more on the Eagles as we're celebrating being 2-time Super Bowl champions with the utter beatdown of the vaunted Kansas City Chiefs. And somebody please check on Nick Wright. I haven't heard much out of him since all of his hate this year, but I'm sure he's feeling pretty well. But remember, old Philly is dead. We buried it today. This is new Philly, new era, new generation of Philly sports. Don't fall back into the old ways. And honestly, like I said, you can translate that into your life. End the old you. Become the new you. Bury that old person and make the changes you need it to become better and get what you want. Have the confidence. Expect higher things. Have high expectations. I think the expectations for all of our Philly teams right now are through the roof. Have those same high expectations for yourself and believe it. Kill the old you. Start fresh. This is a new Philly, new you. We're 2-time Super Bowl champions. We're going to a parade on Friday. God damn, it feels good. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for February 11th, 2025. My name is Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Tuesday. And until next time, go Birds.